What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how you guys can add 10 yards to your deep ball and how you guys can improve the distance on your deeper throws, okay? So this video is going to give you guys a lot of value of the mechanical nuances that go into arm strength and how you guys can get more distance on your deeper throws, like I said. But also, fellas, if you're a quarterback, you've got to know what to do in the gym specifically. So if you want a 28-day QB gym-specific plan to improve your arm strength, shoulder mobility, core strength, the ability to produce torque, check out that very first link in the description. Full quarterback gym workout plan. You can't be working out like linebackers or running backs and hurt yourself, lifting a ton of weight over your head. The specific exercises QBs need to do to improve their performance. Check out that very first link in the description. Let's get started. So first things first here, we're going to be looking at this throw from Patrick Mahomes, this deep ball. Now let's watch this thing full speed and let's see how similar, how relaxed he looks, how similar that looks to just a normal throw over the middle, right? So you look at Mahomes here. And when he drops back to make this throw, the big thing that I want to talk about is that you guys want to keep your lower half similar. You don't want to change up your lower half. You don't want to try to push so much off of that back leg that you overstride and you step super far outside of your frame. You want the same consistent stride because that's what ties into everything. Arm strength is all about ground force and the ability to produce torque and the ability to be able to transfer weight. And by ground force, I mean weight transfer, right? So you see when he goes up to here, he hitches up, and when he doesn't start this motion until that back leg's firmly grounded. You see a lot of guys start this motion before that back leg gets firmly in the ground, before they start driving, right? And that's what throws off their sequence, because ultimately the sequence, you want to be able to get that front foot down as your front shoulder is closed and you're in some kind of a backstroke right here, right? It doesn't need to be that perfect L. Not a lot of guys do get to that perfect L. You see guys like maybe Drew Brees, they get to that perfect L. You see guys like Tom Brady, they kind of have the nose turned down. You see guys like Aaron Rodgers have maybe like a little bit of a tighter motion, right? So it's all about what kind of works for you in terms of that backstroke. But what we don't want to do is lift straight to 90, because then that ball will dip too far behind our heads, right? Now, when we get to this position, it's all about weight transfer. It's all about being able to rotate like you have a pole going down your back and you're trying to rotate just right on that axis. They call it external rotation, right? So you see how when Mahomes goes to throw here, he never leans out of the throw. He never leans and pulls his front side out of there. It's just like he turns straight over, right? And he's getting that weight to the outside part of his front leg. Now, I'm not saying open your toe way up. I'm just saying you want that weight to be able to transfer from your back leg and be able to open up your front hip. You see so many quarterbacks when they go to throw, and this restricts their arm strength, is that they have their weight shifted back. That front foot hits, and they never get their weight to transfer through. They never get their weight to that front leg, which allows their front hip to come through. And when you can rotate through with your front hip, what ends up happening is that your hips end up going through before the football. Now, a lot of people ask me like, oh, what do you think about this dip behind Mahomes' head here? Like that ball kind of dips a little bit far back. That's just a common thing I think you see in a lot of guys who maybe have a baseball background. They have a real like kind of almost flexible rotator cuff. They go back with the ball a lot easier, right? Now, the problem is that a lot of guys will have this, but they're not rotating through. The ball will dip behind their head right here. It will dip behind their head and their hips don't actually go through because they're not opening up their front hip. But because Mahomes does such a great job of opening up his front hip, driving that back leg through, driving that knee through, that's what helps him get the ball through. And that's what helps you get more velocity on this throw, more distance on this throw, and add more distance to your deep ball, right? So it all has to do with that weight transfer. Your legs and your hips is what ties into arm strength, but also torque. And torque comes from that upper half. Now, the other thing that brings me to is, right, so let's say your lower half's clean. Let's say you're transferring weight. You're pushing off this back leg, that inside arch to get the front foot down, to transfer weight to the outside. Your hips are rotating through, but then let's say you swing your elbow down, or maybe you lean a little bit further out of here and your body goes this way. Like we were talking about, your body's split down a midline. So whatever your front side's going to do, the arm's going to follow. So a lot of guys, when they throw a deep ball, they'll swing their elbow down and that will push their release extra high. And what ends up happening is that they'll get this real nice, pretty arc on the ball, but the nose will never turn over because their body's going this way and they're trying to throw here. If you guys can stay disciplined with that front hand and keep it by your face, that gives you more of a snap and a whip to the motion, which helps with velocity, right? And helps with distance. More so that's distance because that's what we're focused on today. But also, it helps you kind of like crack that whip with your follow through. It helps you really snap that wrist, which will help that nose turn over on a deeper throw. Now, another thing that will help you guys get a little bit more distance. You see how when Mahomes throws, he arcs that front shoulder a little bit, right? So when you arc that front shoulder, what that does is that if you have great weight transfer and great hips, that allows the ball to go up and over. It allows you to rotate up and over rather than have your shoulders flat. You rotate and then you try to push the ball and then you like kind of shot put this thing. You want to have that nice arc to your shoulder and then when you snap that wrist to get some touch on this thing, you want to snap at the top like you're shooting a free throw to get that thing to have some arc on it, right? So if you're struggling, right, let's say you push that ball and you continuously have that ball like kind of go up and down, not necessarily like curve it. It just the ball goes up and down and it has that tail. What you need to focus on doing is maybe arcing that shoulder and snapping that wrist at the top, letting your weight transfer and your hip drive do the work rather than swinging your elbow down or leaning your head out of this throw for power, okay? So let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Mahomes with his deep ball mechanics. Great job letting his hips shoot through, transferring weight to that front leg, and driving this ball, okay? So now we're going to be looking at this throw from Aaron Rodgers. So again, we talk about it, a little bit different of a backstroke, right? But let's talk about the consistencies that he has with Mahomes' motion, right? Because these two guys arguably have the strongest arms in the NFL. So I'm not saying that you have to play like these guys. I'm not saying you should throw like these guys. I mean, I'm not saying you should throw like these guys, but it's the consistent things that they both have in common that you should try to take to your game. It shouldn't be, oh, I want to have the exact same motion as Aaron Rodgers. So I want to do the exact same stuff as Aaron Rodgers. It's like you got to find what works for you at the end of the day, but what's most efficient for you and what most guys do that makes them efficient. And then ultimately you end up looking like some of the top guys, but you should never try to mimic them, right? And a lot of people say, oh, Mahomes just has God-given talent, and he does have God-given talent. However, a lot of the consistencies that he has, you find in Rodgers as well. You find in some of the other strong-arm quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and whoever. They all have these consistent traits, and that's what you guys should be trying to take home to your game. So let's watch this thing full speed. So Rodgers makes this throw off platform, right? But you see how the nose turns over, very pretty ball, and it's just a dime downfield. And off platform for him to throw it that far is very, very impressive. So let's talk about this, right? So this is like that famous pop step that he does, right? So a lot of people criticize this pop step, and the ones who do don't really know what they're talking about too much. But there's a gray area, right? Because like it's mainly for like an off-platform throw. But you see guys like Aaron Rodgers do it. You see guys like him do it from the pocket, and when you know what to look for, and you start seeing it, you can't unsee it with Aaron Rodgers. Every single throw he does, that front foot comes out of the grass. So you see how he's drifting and he comes out of the grass with that front foot. You can kind of tell right here how his heel pops up. They call it a pop step. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I suggest checking out a lot of Aaron Rodgers film where watch his front foot, how his front foot always does that little skip, because that's how he transfers weight, right? Because especially when you got momentum going this way, for you to transfer weight to that front leg, that allows your front hip to rotate through, right? So imagine if he was driving this way and rotating and bailing out and he strikes the ground and he's super heavy with that front foot, that leg will lock out, his hip will lock out, and then he'll have to pull his elbow. That's the only way to get the ball through, right? So it's very important that you're light with that front foot and you pop that step through, because that will allow your hips to get through. And now you see the consistent release point he has because he's rotating from his hips. And look at his front hand, stays nice and tight to his frame. Not tight to where he can't move it, not tight to where he's uncomfortable, but he almost pulls it back to his chest for that snap of the motion, right? He's got so much energy with his hips. If he continues to pull out of there with his elbow and pull out with his shoulders, everything's going to go towards the sideline. But because he stays disciplined and he almost pulls this back to his chest right here, that one gives him a consistent release point. He doesn't bail out, which affects release. And also it allows him to be able to rotate with his hips and have that snap to the motion while he's off platform and still be able to get some velocity, some distance, and some more arm strength on this ball. So for you guys who want to improve your arm strength, you got to really be able to work on your weight transfer, because that lets your hips go. And then when you combine that with a good front hand, you snap that wrist at the top. You see when Rodgers goes, what does he do? He slightly arcs that front shoulder to get that thing to go up and over. It's all about being able to arc that shoulder to get that good pathway, letting your hips rotate through because you transferred weight to this outside part of that leg, whether it's with that pop step or whether it's naturally like Mahomes did, but getting that weight to the outside part of your leg so your front hip can rotate through, pulling that hand back to your chest so you have that snap, that whip to the motion, and then snapping that wrist at the top to get that nice arc to the ball, which combines, if you combine all of those things, that's what will get that nose to turn over for you, but also you will get more distance on the ball. Head stays level, shoulders stay parallel, hips stay parallel, front foot pop steps, and snap that wrist at the top. Let's watch thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Rodgers hitting this thing off platform. You guys should really check out that pop step that he does. That's how you can get more consistent off platform, but also add more distance to your deep ball if you struggle and if you can't really get that nose to turn over. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please leave those in the comments. And then also, fellas, if you guys want a full quarterback workout plan, check out that very first link in the description. 28 days of QB-specific workout plans, not the heavy lifts that they make you do, not the heavy things over the shoulder, efficient workouts for quarterbacks to improve their performance. Link in the description. I'll see you guys next time.